Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Today is July 8th, and I hope you are doing well and this finds you safe during the pandemic. I wanted to cover clean label baking today in bread products. Okay, so here are a few tips. I want to just skim the surface today because Keith and I are going to go in depth into it tomorrow. Okay, so don't forget to sign up for our Baker View live seminar tomorrow. It's live streamed, so you can be interactive with us and ask the questions as we take the Q&A roundtable session. And the sign up link is below, bakerpedia.com/academy. Okay, so with clean label baking, obviously things like calcium propionate is not allowed. What else? Potassium bromate, azodicarbonamide, SSL, CSL. Kind of iffy, but Keith and I will be talking tomorrow about enzyme solutions to help those replacement. Okay, but let's talk a little bit more about it with today's session on clean label baking. Let's talk about natural mold inhibitors. Okay, there are two kinds of natural mold inhibitors. One is to reduce the dough pH so that the mold just does not like that kind of environment, okay? And the other one disrupts the membrane and processes. For the option to reduce dough pH, you can use things like vinegar, prune juice, raisin paste concentrate, cultured whey, cultured wheat products, or corn syrup products. Okay, and the latter provides natural propionates so that it also disrupts the cellular membrane. Okay, other alternatives include spices. Surprisingly enough, cinnamon and clove are great mold inhibitors. Okay. Now, I have heard some pushback on natamycin, and it really depends on your point of view and what markets you're serving. Okay, so this may or may not be perceived as clean by certain consumer groups, but you just have to understand that case by case in what particular market you operate in. Okay, so let's take a look next with what can we do? What can we do when we want to replace datum and ADA? We can also look at gums. Gums can help with strengthening the dough and increasing its viscosity. Okay, and I have seen amazing results with HPMC. Now, HPMC can be argued that it's not clean. Okay. You can also try other things like guar or xanthan gum, which is a little more organic. Not so much, but a lot of people prefer that over chemical sounding names like datum. So one of the reasons why gums can replace help replace dirty sounding chemically names like ADA and datum is because they provide that viscosity. Okay, and the viscosity provides the strength, and the strength is what's needed in the dough when you remove these oxidants. Okay. Other things you could use are also flax seeds, and the reason is because flax seeds has that kind of adhesive, gummy mouthfeel. Okay, so it also enhances viscosity, and it can successfully replace up to 30% of fat in the sponge cakes. Okay, this is also if you want to clean up your sponge cakes. All right, so let's talk next about enzymes. And this is where I bring Keith in, because he is an expert in cleaning up your bread label with enzymes. Okay, things like carbohydrates, protease, lipase, and oxidases. We will go into that, and you can pick his brains on that, right? But eventually you have to know that if you're not big enough of a bakery or company, you might have to just get a blend of these. But at least you educate yourself and you learn about what these do in the blend, you know, and understand that you might need a combination of these cocktails, you know, for it to totally replace your datum and ADA. On top of it, you need to understand that this is not the end all solution. You know, you can also look at other things that we will talk about. And this has, however, to be part of your toolkit in terms of cleaning up your label. You have to have an expert work with you on this. Okay. Next, we talk about non-ingredient alternatives. You know, something that a lot of people don't talk about, right? Why? Because it costs money. It costs money to do these things, and it costs capex, you know, investments. And sometimes it's better to ignore to deal with it, right? Honestly, a lot of people ignore these, right? It's so difficult to do, right? Who wants to get aged flour and store aged flour? You know, that increases your cost, right? But if you look and study the literature into aged flour, you understand why it worked previously prior to the industrialization with potassium bromate, before ADA, before everything else. People use aged flour, okay? And that's because they had the time, you know, for the flour to age through transition by rail cars, okay? So I actually have been updated by a few bakeries that they are putting in extra silos these few days to just do some aging, okay? And they've seen significant improvements in their systems. And some of them have even asked their flour millers to just leave this flour aside for a couple of weeks before they use them. So it's something you should seriously consider as you clean up your label and understand why aged flour, something that you have to work with your flour provider on, can really help you. Okay. Sourdough. So how does sourdough help you? It is so interesting, and all the research that's been done. Sorry, that was my chair. That sourdough, the fermentation process of wild bacteria, produces enzymes, produces conditions where it's naturally, what you call, dough conditioning, right? So, and I believe we can ask Keith a little bit about sourdough and what they've found so far with those systems. But if you are interested in a sourdough process, that is using a mother dough that has been fermented for over 12, 14 hours in your bread product, and having that sourdough be over 30 to 40%, excuse me, 30 to 40%, you will see a vast improvement in your machinability. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of infancy in the sourdough research in the academic area. So we don't have much to share with you on Bakepedia right now. But it's another thing that we could talk about tomorrow. Okay. Sponge and dough techniques So sponge and dough techniques are superior over straight dough techniques. Okay. And the reason is because when you ferment the sponge, the yeast enzyme and everything in the dough helps hydrate the gluten, helps makes the gluten stronger and more flexible. That's the only reason why sponge and dough is going to help your process. Okay. And above all, cooler doughs, bakers, cooler doughs always is better than a hotter dough. Okay. And you use less dough conditioners. Right. So if you can target cooler doughs coming out of the mixer at 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you will see a significant performance in your conveying and dough dividing, sheeting, and proofing. Okay. And this is not pulling your legs, because a lot of engineers really push back on this one because they can't get the dough any cooler. If you can't get your dough any cooler, look at your flour silo. Look at putting it in a shelter. Look at getting your water cooled down, on top of reducing the temperature at the mixing bowl. So all these things need to be done, not just temperate water. Okay. So if you have any more questions on non-ingredient alternatives, please ask me tomorrow on the session. Okay. So what next? What can you do before the session? So I will request that you look at our episode 7 on Ask Dr. Lin, and this is available on our Bakerpedia TV on YouTube channel. So you please go and look at episode 7 and understand a little bit more about other kinds of artificial preservatives used in bread. Okay. And lastly, before I go, I would like to thank Lallemand for sponsoring Thursday's Clean Label Baking with Enzymes session. This Baker View session has just seen an enormous surge in signups. So, which tells you what? It tells you that this information is sought after. And because of people like Lallemand, we are able to do what we do at Bakerpedia, and that's dig up the latest research and share with you for free. Okay. So Lallemand has agreed to share Keith Fornack with you tomorrow for free too. So sign up for the Baker View and join us tomorrow. Okay, bakers? All right, so that is all for today's Wisdom Wednesday. And I really appreciate all of you out there working really hard to get all the breads on the shelf and to keep your employees safe. That's the most important thing, is keep them safe so that they can feed us all. All right. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.